Hello. We are reading A Course in Miracles, the Manual for Teachers, Part 2. Part 2 is Who are their pupils? When they say there, they mean God's teachers. Who are the students, the pupils of God's teachers? Let's find out. Honestly, the last time that I read the Manual for Teachers, it's probably been over a year. So it's almost like reading it brand new again. So here we go. Certain pupils have been assigned to each of God's teachers, and they will begin to look for him as soon as he has answered the call. They were chosen for him because the form of the universal curriculum that he will teach is best for them in view of their level of understanding. His pupils have been waiting for him, for his coming is certain. Again, it is only a matter of time. Once he is chosen to fulfill his role, they are ready to fulfill theirs. Time waits on his choice, but not on whom he will serve. When he is ready to learn, the opportunities to teach will be provided for him. Well, isn't that interesting? There's that phrase of when the student is ready, the master appears. And for me, I was always looking and searching and seeking for something deeper than what was presented with me. And it has been rare that I felt like someone was my teacher. And after reading this text, I have learned that the teacher is life. The teacher is whoever is in front of me, whatever situation is in front of me that is teaching me. This is almost like it's like a self-guided course. If I were to do something like homeschooling or like a Montessori or unschooling, whatever, some sort of curriculum where it was completely self-guided, that's basically what this is. It points you in the direction of what you need to learn, but ultimately we're all going to learn the lessons through our experiences, through whoever is put in front of us. And not long ago, I got a message from a friend who watched the first video where I said, I don't want to be a teacher. And she got triggered by it and said something about it. And after reading this, it says, once he has chosen to fulfill his role, they are ready to fulfill theirs. And so, by me saying, okay, I'm ready to be a teacher of God, then she as well, in this same instant, can probably feel, okay, she's ready to fulfill her role too. Because we're all connected. And to stop thinking that the me and the you, us and them, that they're different things. Because it's always going to be reflecting back to the one mind. So on that note, I'm stating that I am ready to be a teacher of God. All right. When he is ready to learn, the opportunities to teach will be provided for him. In order to understand the teaching-learning plan of salvation, it is necessary to grasp the concept of time that the Course sets forth. Atonement corrects illusions, not truth. Therefore, it corrects what never was. Further, the plan for this correction was established and completely simultaneously for the will of God is entirely apart from time. So is all reality, being of him. The instant the idea of separation entered the mind of God's Son, in that same instant was God's answer given. In time, this happened very long ago. In reality, it never happened at all. So what this is saying is that To understand the teaching learning plan of salvation, it's necessary to understand the concept of time that the Course sets forth. And so it says that atonement corrects the illusions, not the truth. And so basically, what this Course is talking about is that here we are, that we're one with God, perfect, whole, complete. And then there was this tiny mad idea of, what if there's something more? What if there's something else? Boom. And in that moment, which some might think is the Big Bang, the beginning or the creation of the universe, this whole thing was created. But what this is saying is that from the perspective of this illusion, this is millions of years, this is eons, this is lifetimes and lifetimes. But from the perspective of here, of being one with God, this never happened, because this is just an illusion. It's just an idea. In reality, we're still here. And so what it says that is that it's correcting what never was. So, we're perceiving that we're here and that we need to correct everything here in this illusory world. And we do need to correct that perception until we can get back to here, which is reality, which is God. And so it says too that the instant the idea of separation entered the mind of God's Son, that in that exact instant was God's answer given. Atonement, forgiveness. That's never happened. And so bringing that to the teaching learning plan of salvation, it's understanding that there's just this idea, and all that needs to happen to correct the idea is to realize that it never happened. To me, I see it as very similar in that, like, the teaching learning is just that. It's just accepting that none of it ever really happened. I'm laughing because I see it, and it's funny because we've believed so much that all of this is so real, and we've taken it all so seriously. And it reminds me of one of the visions that I've had on ayahuasca, where it's like the end of the world and everyone's just laughing together. Just laughing. Just big, guttural laughs, realizing that we've just created this. And in the same way that we created it, we can also go back in what seems to be time. And to me, that's also what samsara is, it's known as a cycle of suffering in Buddhist terms, but to me it's just when you're sort of stuck in going back and forth in time, believing that it's real, and suffering because you think that you're stuck there. But this here offers the solution, God's answer of how to get out of samsara. And in a way, it's really simple. It's just a shift in perception. Okay, moving on. The world of time is the world of illusion. What happened long ago seems to be happening now. Choices made long since appear to be open, yet to be made. What has been learned and understood and long ago passed by is looked upon as a new thought, a fresh idea, a different approach. Because your will is free, you can accept what has already happened at any time you choose. And only then will you realize that it was always there. As the Course emphasizes, you are not free to choose the curriculum or even the form in which you will learn it. You are free, however, to decide when you want to learn it, and as you accept it, it is already learned. So yeah, to me, this is talking more about free will. Here it says, you are free, however, to decide when you want to learn it. So that's the choice, is how long do you want to take? Time really then goes backward to an instant so ancient that it's beyond all memory and past even the possibility of remembering. Yet because it is an instant that is relived again and again and still again, it seems to be now. And thus it is that pupil and teacher seem to come together in the present, finding each other as if they had not met before. The pupil comes at the right time to the right place. This is inevitable because he made the right choice in that ancient instant which he now relives. So has the teacher too made an inevitable choice out of an ancient past. God's will in everything but seems to take time in the working out. What could delay the power of eternity? When pupil and teacher come together, a teaching-learning situation begins, for the teacher is not really the one who does the teaching. That's what I mean. That's my resistance to saying that I'm a teacher, because I'm not the one who's really teaching. God's teacher speaks to any two who join together for learning purposes. The relationship is holy because of that purpose, and God has promised to send His Spirit into any holy relationship. In the teaching-learning situation, each one learns that giving and receiving are the same. The demarcations they have drawn between their roles, their minds, their bodies, their needs, their interests, and all the differences they thought separated them from one another fade and grow dim and disappear. Those who would learn the same course share one interest and one goal, and thus he who was the learner becomes the teacher of God Himself, for he has made the one decision that gave his teacher to him. He has seen in another person the same interests as his own. The teaching-learning situation, in a way, it's saying that any two who join together for learning purposes, God's teacher will speak to. God's teacher is the Holy Spirit. And I've had many situations, again with Felipe, because so much of my learning was through our relationship, and continues to be, actually. And, there were times where, say, we had an argument and we couldn't find any meeting point. But when we would actually invite the Holy Spirit to the conversation, as in we put our intention to be joining with God, then the answer would come. And it talks about the demarcations between their roles, their minds, their bodies, their needs, their interests, and all the differences they thought separated from one another fade and grow dim and disappear. And so whenever I had that experience with him, I would see completely differently. I would see him as me and me as him, and we were one and the same. And that through those experiences of learning, of inviting the Holy Spirit to teach, is how I started to really see differently. And in this as well, whoever is listening to this along with me, as I'm in this, accepting this role of being a teacher, I'm seeing differently. I don't see me as different as anyone else. I don't know if I can put this into any other words, because I think it's something that We have to experience. And anyone who's in a teacher role, the more you can let go of thinking that you're the one teaching, the more that the teaching can come through you. And that's what it means to be a teacher of God. Okay, so that's it for part 2, Manual for Teachers. Thank you.